Okay, this is a continuation of the Suffering from Meaningless series of videos, and it's a good conversation. Yeah, I think we have, the title change is probably appropriate, because that probably is where our disagreement lies, and you've got it right, that yeah, what I'm proposing is, I wouldn't use the word morality, but yeah, I'm suggesting that all ethics, all judgments, all interactions that are of a significant nature in our life, that implicate other people's welfare, should be made with our best judgment, with our most rational and logical and careful judgment, and that ideally, at some perfect point, yes, it should be strictly precisely, almost mathematical in its precision, that's how logical the logic should be, just beyond criticism, beyond flaw, beyond fault. And sorry, I should have done that before I got in the video. Anyway, so you started, yeah, with the idea of this morality, and I don't really like the word morality. To me, it connotates, the archaic past, the dogma, that morality is something that is imposed. And to me, morality is something we invent. We build it out of facts. It comes from the ground up, not from the top down. So I like the word ethics better. But whatever, it doesn't really matter, because the words are unfortunately interchangeable for most people. But like I said, some people still understand morality in the dogmatic Christian terms, and that's why I avoid the word where I can. So the other point was that I should show it, and I think I have done that. I mean, I don't fault somebody for not seeing, I got 200 or 300 videos out there. So, if you've missed a few, that's, more than understandable. So anyway, I have a series of videos, and I'll post a link, that's called the, Top 100 Facts. And that's basically my effort to show you, to build this factual encyclopedia, the premises that we are to build the new truth out of. You have to have truth to build truth, and that's basically, these are the foundation, the building blocks of what would be a rational morality. And so it gets, I've sort of running, I've only got to about 10, and they do end up mixing with each other a little. One is dependent on another. Even at that low number, you already run into that phenomenon, because although they are the basic facts, they are also the ultimate truths. They're both at the same time. They're in some respects the biggest and most important truth, and they are also the truth you must have to build something of value on top of it, something that has integrity as a philosophy. And that's sort of my argument here, is that the first step to achieving this, better philosophy, is just accepting the fact that, looking inside yourself, with what nature provides you, is the last thing you want to do. That's not where you want to go to find rational ethics, because we are constructed selfish right off the bat. And then secondly, we are conditioned erroneously. I mean, your sexual preferences to your aesthetic preferences, culture, all these things are impositions of your environment. They modify your character in the strangest ways, sometimes in ways that make sense, and then sometimes in ways that make no sense at all, as the example of perhaps the cliche example might be the person raised up Catholic who rebels against Catholicism and then ends up being, tattoos and things stuck in their head and bones in their nose, and they go, they try to do everything they can to offend that upbringing. And so they're conditioning, they have become conditioned to be deviants, not just from Catholicism, but ends up being deviant from any kind of culture even sometimes. And so that's the evil of the suppression part of the fact that we are also conditioned by what is repressed in us, what is tortured in us in perhaps our childhood, and that comes out in some kind of unanticipated or unintended deviance, or whatever the right word for it is, conflicting conditioning that can be just very destructive to the individual, and certainly destructive to the cohesion that makes life more livable. But the point is that this is no place to look for the truth. You're not going to find the truth in your conditioning. You're not going to find the truth in your native selfishness. You're just going to find crap there in terms of logic. And as I've conceded, though, we still have to live in that world. That's our personality. That's our humanness. And we still have to obey it to an extent. And that's why I made this distinction between we can accept our frailty as a emotional being. But we shouldn't allow that frailty to infect things like politics, or infect things that will affect other people, will affect the destiny of life on Earth. The big deal issues, we really can't let our bigotries and our preferences control our action and judgment on those issues. And that's where I think this becomes important, is to make that distinction. Because I'm not telling people they have to be Mr. Spock. I'm not telling them they have to neuter themselves. I'm saying, though, there's a time where you do need to be neutered of your passions, neutered of your irrationality. That in those times are when you walk into a voting booth and things like that. I mean, that's when you really have to be as responsible as you possibly can, where you have to, find all the rational judgment you can muster to make a right decision. I think that covers a lot of it. You say others have tried, and I'm not saying other people haven't tried. I'm just saying that this whole conversation sort of grew out of the point I was making that no one's constructed a logical argument defending the meaning of life, defending life as worth living in a generic sense. Like, let's say you are not in horrific pain or suffering. I mean, that's always a subjective determination anyway. But just the whole idea that there is purpose in being part of this rat cheese chasing maze game, that there really hasn't been any construction of a rational argument where you could say to somebody who was, say, contemplating suicide or something, where you could make this rational argument and say, no, this is why life is good. This is why you must live, or this is why it is the way it is good for the universe. It is an efficient or productive thing to do, just in the sense of doing it, even without you actually having to produce something. Just the idea of you being here is somehow necessary or important or purposeful. And so anyway, in a sense, I would argue that there hasn't been enough conversation in this area, because if we don't even have that logical argument written down somewhere, I can't find some author who has made the perfect argument saying this is why life is worth living. If we haven't gone that far, then I don't think there has been enough conversation. I don't think enough people have tried to construct a truly rational ethical theory or ethical construct. Build a morality out of facts, not a morality out of presumptions, fairy tales, and mush. And this is sort of one of my criticisms of the atheist community in general, is that they have liberated themselves from one dogma, but they have still clung to the underlying dogma, which is nature knows what the fuck it's doing. You know, our nature is still Mother Nature. It is still some purposeful bitch who is, you know, guiding us through some charming adventure. And you know, that to me is just another religion. That to me is, it's a presumption. It's based on nothing factual, nothing empirical, nothing that can be tested in any proven through any logical thought process. So, time's up.